Hello, once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shesho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends, brought to you by the Rockstar Chronicles, Series 1, my new book featuring over 45 intimate conversations with the greatest music legends the world will ever know, available now at bookbaby.com and amazon.com. Chris Hillman's autobiography, Time Between, My Life as a Byrd, Burrito Brother, and Beyond, was one of the most celebrated music memoirs of the past year. Publisher BMG Books will soon release it, or I guess it's released. Is it released now, Chris?
Ray, it's coming out on the 19th, which
On
is
the 19th.
next week.
Okay, awesome.
Paperback. Yeah.
Excellent.
Hardback. I'm sorry, Ray. Hardback was out last November 20th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a much anticipated paperback version with a brand new cover, while Penguin Random House will simultaneously release an audio version featuring newly recorded excerpts of 20 songs that have been part of the artist's musical legacy over the years. Hillman is a three-time ACM Award winner and inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a founding member of the Byrds. As co-founder of the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers, Chris Hillman is arguably the primary architect of what's come to be known as country rock. He went on to record and perform in various configurations, including as a member of Stephen Stills Manassas, one of my favorite bands, and I was good friends with Joe Lala. And as a co-founder of the Souther-Hillman-Furay Band in the 80s, he formed the Desert Rose Band, scoring 8 top 10 Billboard country hits. He's released a number of solo efforts, including 2017's highly acclaimed Bidin My Time, the final album produced by the late Tom Petty. In Time Between, Hillman shares his quintessentially Southern Californian experience from an idyllic rural 1950s childhood to achieving worldwide fame with such hits as Mr. Tambourine Man, Turn, 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 and 8 Miles High. Now, while the book features behind the scenes insights on his time in the Byrds, his productive but sometimes complicated relationship with Graham Parsons, his role in launching the careers of Buffalo Springfield, Emmylou Harris, who I'm from DC originally and got to see her in Georgetown many a times, and the ups and downs of life in various bands. Music is only part of Hillman's story. In Time, vulnerability, speaking honestly about the shocking tragedy that struck his family when he was a teenager, his subsequent struggles with anger, and how his spiritual journey led him to a place of deep faith that allowed him to extend forgiveness and experience wholeness. As Time Between shows, Chris Hillman is much more than a rock star. He's a man who has faced down the challenges of life to discover what really matters. Please welcome singer, songwriter, musician, founding member of the Byrds, the Flying Burrito Brothers, Manassas, Souther-Hillman-Furay Band, McGuinn, Clark, and Hillman, and the country rock group, the Desert Rose Band. Chris Hillman to Interviewing the Legends. Man, you've done a lot.
Thank you, Ray. That was such a beautiful intro.
Well, thank you.
I feel like you validated my existence very well. Well done.
I think I covered the book too.
I mean that. Very kind of you.
You're very welcome. I love the book, by the way. It was excellent. I love how you were very honest. Sometimes you can't be honest. I put out a book about growing up in the family business, and I left out some things.
Yeah.
You know, but you did not. Printing counterfeit driver's license, stealing Levi jeans.
That's my criminal years.
Burning down houses. You're brutally honest.
Well, I had still having a great life, really, Ray. I mean, I just have had a wonderful, almost 6 decades, real close. Mm-hmm.
And some of the things in the book I wanted to mention, when Mr. Tambourine Man came out, what was your thoughts when the Wrecking Crew came in?
Actually, it did not bother me one bit.
Really?
I was quite, I came and of course was there at the session, and I was watching Larry Knechtel, who played the bass. Larry was a really good session player, Ray. He played keyboards on a lot of records and occasionally bass. And he actually came up with that bass line, that sweeping boom, bah, so, but I thought, and he was very nice, and I'm sitting there going, this is great. And he played the way I learned eventually was with a pick, and I never really learned with my fingers. I loved McCartney, so I would sort of base everything, no pun intended, on what McCartney was doing. And yes, when the Wrecking Crew came in, they played on that song, and the B-side was Gene Clark's song, and I left my head for a minute. I'll get it in a minute. But no, it was great to watch them. Roger played on it.
Mm-hmm.
Roger was really, as I've always said in the book and off stage and or out of the book, is that Roger was the most seasoned musician of us all, and had a lot of experience. So, and he came up with that great opening line of Mr. Tambourine Man. It was really sort of a Bach type single note line. But yeah, I thought it was great. Nobody really complained in the Byrds. We were happy to be making a record, and I can understand it. Business-wise, Ray, Columbia Records was hedging their bets. Brand new group, let's do it the very best we can, and because we really had a singles deal. It was a make or break deal, so we made it, thank God. So anyway, that record came out and it shot to the top. So
the interesting thing was Benny Shapiro and Benny's preteen daughter.
Yeah,
how about that?
Well, and it was great. It's like, so yeah, I mean, it was such a great little vignette where Benny Shapiro was running a jazz club in LA, the Renaissance. I mean, he'd have Miles Davis in there, and he'd have John Coltrane. It was a really upscale jazz place. But he wasn't into this kind of music, Beatles and all that stuff. But that was so funny. I wasn't there, but when our manager said his daughter ran down the stairs, and who is that, Dad?
Awesome.
And Benny says, that's good enough for me. And he calls Miles Davis, who we never met. I wish we had.
Yeah.
And Miles picks up the phone and calls the president of Columbia Records. Go figure that one out.
It's a great story.
It's terrific. And I wish we could have met him.
Yeah.
Miles Davis, I had such great respect for him as a musician.
I know Billy Cobbleman. He tells me stories about Miles. Yeah. You know what was cool about your family? I know your dad's story, and it ended in tragedy and everything, but they were quite the entrepreneurs, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, my family is too, and I really identified with them.
Yeah, they had, and on the other side, which was really good, they had such great taste in music.
Yeah.
And they had a hi-fi, and they're playing Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald and Peggy Lee, and really wonderful stuff. And it got into my head because I listen to it now in my late 70s. I listen to all this stuff my folks listen to. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Chris, you look great, by the way.
Thank you. It's that blood transfusion in Switzerland. Keith Richards
is that what you got one too?
Said to me, to Dr. Schultz. Thank you for the compliment.
You look really good. It's good to see legendary music artists that look great at their as they age. Anyway.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I think your Christian faith kind of started with that surfing incident, huh? What do you think?
You know what? You're absolutely right. Oh, listen, there were many times where I would reach out to God, and I'd be like in some weird thing, and I'm a kid and scared to death, or surfing that day, or just trying to get home at 2 a.m. at 16 years old or something.
Yeah.
And he said, God help me, please, God help me. That's the old foxhole conversion.
Exactly.
That's what they used to say, man, the guys are in the foxhole, go Lord, if you just do this, I'll never. And they make it through the combat, and they don't know I stick with it, which I didn't. In all honesty, I accepted Jesus, and then I walked away for 10 years. And a good friend of mine who helped me make that commitment, he said, well, he's never going to leave you. So if you want to figure this out, he's still waiting for you. And it was great advice. Yeah. Anyway.
I've had Roger McGuinn on the show. Before I started the show, and I had a column, and I had Roger on. Nice guy, really good. And he lives in Orlando. He lives in Florida. And of course, he's a devout Christian as well.
Yes.
Do you still talk to Roger from time to time?
Well, we are very close friends. And of course, we had that wonderful tour 2 years ago with Marty Stewart and his band, the Superlatives, the Fabulous Superlatives. And we had such a good time. And I hadn't worked with Roger for over 25 years.
Yeah.
And then we just clicked right back. He was always a joy to work with. He was a consummate professional. towards the end of the Byrds, we actually finished this album, Notorious Byrd Brothers.
Right.
Just the two of us. There were two. And then we did the Sweetheart of the Rodeo, and that was it. And then I left, and he went on with it for a while.
You know, that's an excellent trio. And I really got into Marty Stewart, you know. I mean, he's an excellent musician, man.
Monster.
Really,
very, very good. Nice man. Very good man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's coming to Ruth Eckerd here in Clearwater, up in Clearwater pretty soon. So I think I'm going to catch that show for
You
sure.
gotta watch him. Those guys
Yeah.
are so good. They might be the best 4-piece rock and country band I've ever heard.
Really? Huh.
Yep.
Well, Turn came out. That was without the Wrecking Crew, and that's something you guys
Correct.
called your own.
Yeah.
That
And
must
you
have been
can
a
tell,
thrill.
actually,
Yeah.
a dear friend of mine, he said, well, he saw me about a month ago, and we're talking. He says, well, yeah, well, the Wrecking Crew played on the first album. I said, no, they didn't. Listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
The Wrecking Crew were wonderful, but it was so slick. So, Ray, I'll be honest with you. I mean, Tambourine Man was a blessing. It got us going and everything, but it's not my favorite record. It's so slick, you know. And maybe we weren't ready, but I think we were. But it's okay. It's all hindsight now. What does it matter? It's water downstream. It achieved the goal of getting us through the door, and that's all that counts. Yeah.
But it was a perfect sound for top 40 radio back then. You know, it did have that slick sound.
Yeah, and it's held up. You know, I think "Turn, Turn, Turn" is really the signature Byrds song.
Right.
But whatever. Hey, I was very lucky to be involved in all of it.
Sure. And you came into your own with "So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star" and "Have You Seen Her Face?"
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Yeah. And one day you quit the Byrds.
Yes, I did.
Because of Larry Spector.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes I go, in hindsight again, as we are all geniuses, I went, well, I should have stuck around a little longer. I'd known Clarence White, who I got Roger to, we hired him, but I left soon after. And Clarence was an unbelievably gifted musician and a great guy too. And I missed that part, but it just went where it went, you know. Mm-hmm.
It was time, I guess, you know, things were changing.
It was time for probably for me to leave and for Roger to stretch out and figure out what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the Flying Burrito Brothers and one of my favorite clubs, the Cellar Door. You know, I'm from DC originally. I know all about Georgetown, Cellar Door, Jack Boyle, the Cellar Door concert.
Jack Boyle, yes, sir.
Oh my God, it was incredible, man. All great show. You know, I talked to Tom Rush, was a good friend of mine. He was there a bunch of times. Maria Muldaur, I talked to.
Yeah.
All these guys. You know?
And down the street, Ray, was the Shamrock, where the Country Gentlemen would play. I believe down M Street.
Yep.
Was it M Street? Yep. And then I believe it was Clyde's, as I wrote in the book.
Clyde's.
Emmy was playing it. Yeah.
I used to go to Clyde's. Yeah.
But Emmy wasn't playing country songs. She was playing sort of Joni Mitchell folk stuff. Joan Baez. Yeah.
Now she teams up with Linda Ronstadt once in a while and Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
They do that thing together, which is pretty cool. Manassas was a great band. I was sorry to see that short-lived. And like I said before, I was friends with Joe Lala, who was a great guy.
I love Joe. Joe was the best man at our wedding.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
I'll tell you something. Joe Lala was our best man. Roger McGuinn, as we did an outdoor wedding, played Turn, Turn, Turn as we came down. And my friend Jet Thomas, who's very close with Emmy Lou Harris and Linda Ronstadt, married us. He's a Baptist minister. So that was a great day. Yeah, Joe was a lovely guy. I loved him dearly, and I was with him the night before he died.
Oh, you were, huh?
Yeah, I was with him in Tampa, and this is a quick story, but we had a show in Tampa, and up until a month before that show, I was talking to Joe. I said, "Come down and play with us." He said, "Okay, I'll try." And I had no idea how sick he was, and he was at the end. The show got canceled, and I called Joe. I said, "We're not playing." He said, "I couldn't even get out of the house. I'm really at the end here." And I said, "Can I come and see you?" And I went over and saw him, and We spent 4 hours together.
Oh,
And you know the rest. I think it's in the book where
yeah.
I said, you know, I know you probably grew up Catholic and Sicilian and everything, and I ended up baptizing him. It was a very special moment. And then the next morning, they called from the hospital. They rushed him out an hour after I left. I had no idea. And it was sad. I love the guy very much. He's a great musician, and he just, you know, he's tripping over his feet and messing up and goofing around, but he was such a great guy, funny, talented man, you know. Anyway.
He took care of his mom, you know.
Oh, till the very end.
Yeah.
You know,
he was half Sicilian, but he spoke Spanish perfectly. And
exactly.
I could have sworn he was Cuban because I'm half Cuban. And he sounded like my family. He really did.
Yeah, and well, Ybor City, he grew up and he spoke perfect Spanish.
Yeah.
But he was Albanian and Sicilian. Isn't that an interesting combination?
That is interesting, yeah.
So he didn't know his dad, but he did hook up with his half brother, who I met that night when I was with Joe. And he was taking care of Joe too. He's a very nice guy. He was really looking after Joe. And
you know, I was supposed to be his personal assistant. He wanted me to. And I turned it down because I lived in Bradenton. It was an hour drive, but I did find him somebody that became his assistant.
Good.
Yeah. So great guy, really good guy.
Yep.
Well, I love the book. I know we've only got a couple of minutes here. We've got a short interview today, what I understand. Chris, here's an interesting question. I ask everybody. I get some interesting answers. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
Gosh almighty. There's a lot of them. I mean, I would love to have, gotten maybe more involved with some of those the bluegrass guys I looked up to, Monroe and all that. But I had my moments with Monroe. I had that funny time when we sort of were playing together, and I missed a lyric in the song, and he hit me on the leg. That's in the book. It's a caption under a picture. But I always I love the Bee Gees.
Really?
Joe worked for the Bee Gees. I watched the Bee Gees live.
Yeah.
When Joe was playing congas for them, and my God, they were good singers. Yes, okay, the disco stuff, some of them was sort of silly, but personally, I thought they were so talented. Barry Gibb, loved to meet him. I thought he was a phenomenal writer, singer, etc. There's a couple of them. Ray, I don't know. Geez, hard to tell. I got to work with some good ones.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
You know,
we did this tribute to Buck Owens for the Academy of Country Music, and Dwight Yoakam put the band together. And this was like 4 years ago, and it was great. We did like a medley of Buck songs for the Academy of Country Music. Here's the band. It was Brad Paisley, Billy Gibbons, Tom Brumley, who had been an original Buck Owens Buckaroo.
Right. Me
on bass, and Dwight, and this kid from Blink-182, Travis Barker, with the Mohawk.
Drummer. Yeah.
And he got it. He was good. Wow. So we had little bits of each of one of Buck's songs, and it really was great. Gibbons was a character. I really admire him too. He was funny man, and but it was so much fun. And Billy Gibbons, and then somebody says at the end, he said, "Are you guys going to make a record?" And he says, "No." Says that was the best band I've been in for 20 minutes ever.
Is that right?
Yeah, we were in that band we practiced. We were in that band for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes on camera, but it was so much fun. Yeah.
One little clip about in the book also. You were a shy guy around John Lennon, weren't you?
Oh God. Well, you didn't want to be in his vision or sight up with him. What happened?
It could be tough.
I lost you. Hang on a second, buddy. I just lost you on the camera.
Okay.
But we're talking. It's okay.
Yeah, he could be tough. John could be tough.
Well, I was so shy, Ray. I mean, and does this one talk? I think that's what his line was. Does this one
Yeah,
talk? And I
does
was
this
going-
one talk?
And
Right.
I turned beet red, of course. But later I said, oh, it was funny. It didn't bother me. I didn't have to go to therapy over it. It was, I mean, we were so enamored with the Beatles, as the whole world was. We were going, wow. And Roger had written something about, the Byrds were great. We got to meet our heroes, the Beatles. And then he's talking about, and at the very end, Chris and I got to work together again with Marty Stewart.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
covers a lot of ground. I said, yeah, that's interesting. So,
Chris, what does the future hold? What's going to be happening? New album, tour? What's happening?
man, Ray, I got some shows coming up in
Okay.
Texas, the end of this month. I've got
Good.
some shows in Florida in March
Yep, I
that
saw
I had
that.
to move. Yeah, and
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm not sure. I don't know about making a record. I have a little bit of an itch to write something else. I don't think it'd be a
Yeah.
music book, but I have a couple of ideas about that. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your guitars, by the way, behind you. Wow.
1995, buddy. Anything you want here. I'm trying to get rid of it. Hey, I'm actually sending this down to Nashville.
Are you?
Yeah, and to Carter's Guitars, and have Walter Carter sell it. I bought it from him. This is so weird. A quick story. 2 days after Petty died, we were in
Yeah.
Nashville, and I was just broke my heart. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I walked into Carter's Guitars and bought that guitar. Maybe I shouldn't sell it. I should keep it as a remembering that day.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the book where I was going to cancel the last 4 shows, one of which Tom and the Heartbreakers were going to sit in with us
Right.
in LA. And I was going to cancel them. I'm in Nashville, and I get a phone call out of the blue from Roger McGuinn. He says, don't do that. I said, what do you
Yeah.
mean? He says, don't cancel the shows. He said, and he knew Tom really well.
Yeah.
He says, Tom would not like it if you did that. He says, go out and celebrate him. Don't play those shows for him.
Exactly.
And I went, wow, you're right. That's
Yeah.
good. And I did. We're not canceling. We went out and did them.
They did a little tribute at a Gators game,
Mhm.
for him, and
Yeah.
everybody sung to a Tom Petty song in a stadium. It was
Oh,
pretty cool.
I've never met a more humble man. I've
Really?
said this a million times, that occupied that position. He was a
Huh.
huge star, huge,
Yeah.
all over the world.
Yeah.
But he's the most humble guy. He loved music.
Yeah.
I was amazed he even wanted to go in the studio with me. I was going, oh, okay.
Hmm.
He said, no, come on, we're gonna have a good time. And he made it so much fun, and it was so much fun working with him.
Right.
Got to really know him in that 4 or 5 weeks of time, 6
Hmm.
weeks. We were just getting along great. So anyway,
Yeah.
and he was in extreme pain, and that was back
Really?
in January of 2017.
That's a
He
shame.
needed to have his hips replaced,
Hmm.
or a hip replacement. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
miss him. We all miss him. He was
We do. We all do.
accessible, and his catalog of songs are amazing. What
Yeah.
he wrote, God.
Yeah. He was incredible. He
Yep.
was. Another Floridian gone, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say Purchase Time Between, My Life as a Bird, Burrito Brother, and Beyond by Chris Hillman. Did you hear the new the Burrito Brothers album? That, there's a new configuration of the
Mhm.
Burrito Brothers,
Mhm.
not the Flying Burrito Brothers, but the Burrito Brothers.
Yeah, we got the rights on that name, but yeah, I haven't heard it. But it's funny. The Burrito Brothers turned into the Drifters. I don't know if you remember, Ray, but there used to be 12 groups called the Drifters that were out on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? Well, you can buy this. It's coming up on Amazon.com. They can also go to your website.
Mhm.
5 stars all the way. For more information about Chris Hillman, visit www.chrishillman.com. You're
Correct.
on Facebook, Instagram. Chris, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. You're an incredible artist. We
My
want to see
pleasure.
more of you, of course.
Thank you so much. My pleasure, Ray. You're really good to talk to.
Thank you. We'll hook up again,
Yeah,
maybe when you're on the road.
that'd be great, because around March, I'll be down somewhere near you in
Okay,
Florida.
that's
Are
right.
you in Florida right now?
I'm in Florida. Yeah,
Attaboy.
I'm on the West Coast. Yeah,
Attaboy.
that's how I knew Joe. Joe was in Tampa, and
Yeah.
I did an interview with him at his apartment. We spent
Right.
4 hours together.
Yeah.
He was telling me a story and tried to kiss me. But, he's a comedian.
Oh, Well,
And it's
before
true.
I go, I have to tell you, you look just like our priest,
You're kidding me.
Father Gary Kyriakou. Well, we're Greek Orthodox, but yeah, you do. I mean, he's got the stash and a little bit of a goatee. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you do. That's the backwards way, right?
That's a backward.
Orthodox is right to left.
Okay.
We're on the same ball team. It's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. There's one guy upstairs.
That's right.
And we
Yeah.
all worship him.
You bet.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much.
All right,
God
man.
bless,
Take
buddy.
care. God bless you
Adios.
too. Bye-bye.